I sat beside my best friend's hospital bed while she praised her man who had secretly left me a 3-minute voice note confessing his love for me. For the past year, our entire circle had been grounded by her diagnosis, a severe, aggressive illness that required specialized, incredibly expensive medical care. Maya couldn't work a single hour. Her days spent fighting just to stay stable, but whenever she talked about her husband, David, her face would light up with absolute devotion. She kept calling him the best husband ever, telling me that men like him simply didn't exist anymore. My heart broke so violently behind my ribs that I had to look down at my hands just to keep from crying. She didn't know that the only reason she had access to that life-saving treatment was the corporate health insurance plan provided by the very man trying to destroy our friendship behind her back. The truth was a toxic weight. A week ago, David cornered me in the hallway of the clinic while Maya was asleep from her therapy session. He looked at me with an intense, desperate expression and told me he couldn't keep it inside anymore. He claimed he was completely in love with me, that his marriage was just an empty obligation, and that he wanted us to be together. I froze. Before I could even process the words, he left, later sending a string of detailed, emotional voice notes to my phone to reiterate exactly what he had said, acting as if I would actually consider betraying the person I loved most. I know the timing is terrible, but you can't deny the connection we have. David's voice rasped through my phone speakers later that night, a cold, digital file I saved into a hidden, password-protected folder. Maya is entirely focused on her treatment anyway, and I am the one doing all the heavy lifting for her parents' monthly bills. I deserve to be happy too. Don't tell her about this. It would completely ruin everything she relies on right now. The calculated selfishness of his words made me feel physically sick. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that Maya's parents depended entirely on his monthly financial support just to keep their house, and he knew that a divorce would instantly strip Maya of the cutting-edge medical care she desperately needed to survive. If I stood up, exposed him, and handed her the evidence right now, she wouldn't just be heartbroken. She would be financially and medically ruined. Her doctor had explicitly warned us that any severe emotional stress could cause her condition to deteriorate rapidly. My hands were completely tied by her survival. I didn't get away with it in silence, though. The night I received those audio files, I typed out a response that left no room for interpretation. I told him he was a disgusting coward, a monster who was taking advantage of his wife's vulnerability while she fought for her life. I explicitly threatened to forward every single voice note to his employers, his parents, and our entire social circle if he ever dared to look at me, message me, or step within 5 feet of my personal space. He panicked, immediately deleting his history, entirely unaware that I had already backed up the files in 3 separate locations. Please, just keep this between us, his rushed text reply read. The arrogant tone completely vanished, replaced by a pathetic, trembling fear of exposure. I was confused, I was stressed out by the medical bills, and I didn't mean it. If you expose this, everyone loses. Just drop it. I dropped the conversation, but I couldn't drop the suffocating guilt. Every time Chloe and I planned a small weekend visit, every time I brought her fresh soup, and every time she squeezed my hand and thanked God for putting such an honorable man in her life, I felt like a horrible, sneaky friend. I spent hours sitting in my car in the hospital parking lot, staring at the steering wheel, wondering if protecting her physical health was worth completely compromising the honesty of our entire friendship. The drama reached a tipping point last night when David showed up at the apartment to pick up Maya's overnight bag. He walked into the kitchen where I was standing, his eyes darting towards me with a mixture of intense resentment and anxiety. He didn't say a word, keeping his distance exactly as I had commanded, but the heavy, silent tension between us was so thick it felt like the walls were closing in. Maya looked at the two of us from her wheelchair, noticing the sudden silence, and asked if everything was okay between her favorite people. I forced a calm smile, adjusted the blanket over her shoulders, and told her that everything was perfectly fine. I'm gonna keep this heavy burden locked away until she's finally in a better, stronger place in her recovery. But as I watched David wheel her out to the car, holding the door for her like the perfect gentleman the world thought he was, I realized that protecting the people you love sometimes means becoming the villain in your own mind.